So DIMARC or arc length. So pull the drop down and choose the arc length and click on the dimension. Now you can find that there's a symbol over here that comes here. So it says arc length is 8 units. So similarly, if you look into it, if you say select arc or polyline arc segment, so you say you go for a DIMARC command and then you select the arc or a polyline segment, and then you can push it so you can take it down. So let's say if I have a fillet over here, and how do I create a fillet, right? So let's say if I have a fillet with radius 1 unit and I want to find the length of this fillet. So I know what is the radius, but I want to find out the length, the arc length, the circumferential length, circumference length. So this is something that is very useful. You can go for a DIMARC command, and you can select this arc, and it talks about this is 2 units length. So this is all about DIMARC, and then we will be doing more about other things in dimension. We'll be learning more techniques in dimension, how we can make the dimension more efficient and productive while we are working on AutoCAD drawing, civil drafting. Right. So next is we have this option called I'll be taking the radius and the diameter. So radius and diameter dimensions are for the circles or arcs. So you have a circle and you want to find out the dimension, the radius of the circle. You can go for the command called DIMRAD, or you can select the radius options. Like for example, you can take the dim radius from here. So this is a radius tool, and then click on it, and then it says select arc or circle. So you select an arc or circle. In this case it's a circle. So now you can put it inside or outside. It shows radius is 4. Now if I have a smaller circle, so I can go here and say, so it's DIMRAD, select the circle, and you can have the radius inside or outside. One thing you can see, students, there is a center mark that comes with the radius dimension. So that center mark, you can change the style of it. You can increase the size of the center mark from the style. So we will be talking more about it in the later part of this session. The next what we will do is the diametric dimension. So again, let's check it for an arc. Let's say if you have a arc, let's say, and I have an arc over here, and I can take a tangential arc. So I can continue with the let's say these 2 arcs are there. I want to find the radius curvature of this particular arc. So I can go with the DIMARC command, so in which I want to dimension it. So I have this arc over here, and so this is showing you the DIMARC is showing the length of the arc. But at the same time, if I want to find out the radius of this arc, so I'll be using dim radius. So dim radius is for finding out the radius. So it is radius 4, and this is radius 4, radius 11. So this is how I can do the radius option. Now, when to use a radius and when to use diameter depends upon if you have a hole or a cut. If you have got a circle that you need to create inside a particular sketch or a model. For example, you want to create an opening or you want to create a well kind of thing. So it's very important. In that case, you provide diameter. But if there is a surface or a curve or an arc, like a fillet arc, so it is always suggested to go with the radius. So you cannot use a diameter in that case, because the diameter basically is used when you're doing a puncture or when you're doing a cut, when you're doing an opening, right? Whether it is the diameter of a bolt or a nut or a screw or something. In an assembly, you can put the diameter. But when you are doing surfaces, when you are doing a profiling, it's always a choice. If you want to go with radius or diameter, preferably you should go with the radius when you're doing a profiling. For example, when we talk about a profiling, let's say if I have this a corner profile, and if I want to give a fillet over here, so it's always say I have a radius of 1.25. So here it is preferred that I go for a radial dimension. So for that I will give DIMRAD and select the arc. So it is good that it is having a radius of 1, so that with this information the workman can basically create the roundness in these edges, and they have got measuring instruments by which they can measure. They have radius gauges or different kind of surveying instruments, or to find out what is the curve radius of the particular surface or the profile. So now if I want to do a diameter, the same thing would be like you can go for DIMDIA, and here we have this select the circle, or you can do it for the arc also if you intend to do, but select the circle, and then you can see that the symbol of diameter comes along with the actual diameter. So you have the DIMDIA option, select the circle, and let's say create more circles. So DIMDIA, and again the center mark will be displayed after you do the dimensions. So here we have, so now again you can choose it from the, you can see that symbol over here, the DIMDIA symbol is over here. So if you want to change the text of any of the dimension at any moment of time, you can always go for an ED command, that is the edit text. You can change it. Now friends, there are certain symbols that you're using some special commands. That, for example, for diameter we use %C. This is the code by which the diameter symbol is generated, and let's say if I want to give it a 30, so I can change it over here if it is required. Let's say again, if I want to change this and I want the diameter symbol, it is %C. C means circle, and the diameter symbol will be created from here. And let's say if I want to give 45, so this is how it comes. So the last option before we do the jogged dimensioning, we can this is an ordinate dimension. Then we will be talking about baseline dimensioning. We'll be talking about continued dimensioning. We'll be talking about various settings in the dimension, center line, center mark, and more other options in dimensioning. Now, okay, so now you did the dimension for the radius and the diameter. Now once you do a dimension for the radius and diameter, you see that the let's say if I do a radius of this particular arc, so now you can see that the center point which is right now not visible at this point, so I can select this one and say here. So center points are located, it's somewhere here. So let's say it's not convenient, it's going out of the sheet. For that purpose, if you want to mark the center point anywhere, you want to override the center point anywhere which is visible in the screen, in that case you can take a jogged dimension, that is for the jogged dimension. So if you say DIMJOGGED, select arc or circle. So over here if you select the arc and it says that override the center point, let's say if I want to override the center point at this particular point, and it is showing that the center, you have just overridden the center of this arc and mentioning it somewhere here. So it is not showing the accurate location of the center point, but it is sometimes you require to relocate the center point and show the dimension. So it comes with a jogged line. Now you can see that there's a jogged line over here. So it says that the center point is not located at the actual point. So we use the DIMJOGGED command for the arc and radius. So here you have this. So if you want to have this for the diameter also, so if you have this diameter, so it shows the diameter of it. So here, but then if you use a jogged dimension, it is always shows the center location, override and shows the radius part of it. So it says specify dimension line location and click on it. So then you have to click twice. For example, where you want to put the jogged line. So I'll just show it again so that you don't have any confusion regarding the command. So you have this DIMJOGGED, select arc or circle. In this case, you can click on this arc over here and override the location of the center point, because the center point is far away. So I say the center point is here, and then you give the click once to specify where you want to specify the first dimension line location, and then just move up or down in order to specify the other one. So this is the jogged location is created, and the jogged dimension for the arc is shown. And remember one thing, it is for the radius. It is showing the radius, not the diameter, right? So here we have this jogged dimension, and it says create jogged dimension for lines, arcs, and circle. So it says again, create jog radius dimension when the center of an arc or circle is located off the layout and cannot be displayed in its true location. The origin point of the dimension can be specified at more convenient location called the center location override. Override means you're overriding the actual center point of the arc or circle. Next is the dim ordinate. So this is something that I use for survey. So if you have, let's say, a point, if I am giving some points over here in this location, let me erase. Okay, now I give a point. I have multiple points. Let's say point. I specify a point at 1, 1. I specify a point at 100, 100. I specify a point at 100, 0. Let me specify a point at 100, 0. Okay. So you have this different points over here. So it's located here. So, okay. Now, if I want to define the location, means I want to show the coordinates, x and y coordinates of this point by dimensioning in my layout, in my sheets, then I should use the dim ordinate command. So here we have dim ordinate. So it says specify feature location. For example, if I click on it, this is the node. Remember, while you're clicking on this point, the node object snap should be put on, and then you click on the node over here. So I say dim ordinate, and the feature location is this, and now it talks about the x datum and y datum, and then you have the three basic options. Now if let's say if you want to have the x datum, that is the x coordinate, so you say x datum, you press x, so it shows you the x datum, and then if you want to see the feature location for the y coordinate, so you can say y datum, so you can show both of them, x coordinate and the y coordinate. Now let's do it for this point over here. So you have this dim ordinate. Again, the dim ordinate command is used for the dimensioning of the coordinate, that is the x and y in the layout. So you have this feature location, and remember, at a single time you can have only one dimension that can be shown, right? So this is a 1 in x and 1 in y, this point was located. So if you say let's say x datum, this is, and let's say if you want the y datum, so you say y. So let's put another point of our inner convenience. Let's say I want to specify a point at 10, 10. So I have this point 10, 10 over here. So I want to dimension it. So I say dim ordinate. That means this dimension, ordinate dimension, is the dimension of the point from the origin. You specify first location. You have this x over here, and I'm just simply dragging it and going down. I'm not using now x and y. I just can pull it and show that this is 10, 10. So dim ordinate is used for showing the x and y ordinates or the coordinates of. Now you can see here it's an example when you have got the datum as 0, 0, normally used in machining, CNC machining or in manufacturing, but very much used in a civil drafting for locating different points in the survey data, right? So this is how we have this dim ordinate. For example, if I have this coordinate, I'll give you an example how it is used. For example, my site starts from this. I have this point 0, 0, and there is a circular column, or let's say with the dia of 1 unit. So, and then you have another circular column with dia, let's say 1 unit. So you have got 2 circular columns over here in the site in a project, And if you want to locate this center of the column from the origin, that is the TBM, the benchmark. So in survey we have the benchmark. The benchmark is the origin from where the survey data is mentioned. So I'm talking about the layout, site layout in the plan. We can have it also for the elevation, but I'm talking about the site plan. Now I have got these two features. Both are circular columns and they have a center point. Now I want to locate them. I want to tell my as a surveyor, I want to give a data that the center of this particular columns or particular feature are at a particular distance from the TBM. TBM is the benchmark. So in this case, the TBM is at this particular origin. So I can mark the TBM over here, creating a circle over here. The center point is 0, 0, and give a particular, let's say, radius. So this is the benchmark. Now, what I do, I give for DIMORDINATE, or I can go to the Annotate tab and select the command from the drop down, and I can say DIMORDINATE, or I can go to the dimension menu. I can say the DIMORDINATE. So the feature location is the center of this circle, and if I want to give how much it is in X, so I can give the X datum over here and click it here. So it shows about the X datum. That means it is a 1 unit from the TBM, and how much it is in the Y. So I have this feature location over here. I can go with the Y datum here. So Y datum is 4. It means that it is at a distance of 1 unit from the origin in X and 4 unit and the direction of Y. Similarly, if I want to mention, I cannot mention together, right? I cannot say 1, 4 here. So if you want to have this, you have to edit this text and get the integrated value, but it is not recommended while you are doing a kind of dimensioning for a site layout. So you have this DIMORDINATE. So you write DIMORDINATE here. The feature location is this, and the X datum, obviously, the value of this particular center point of this circle is 6 units. So you say X datum, so press X over here, and no, it says it's 12 actually. So 12 units in the X direction, and then if you want the Y datum over here, so you can always have the Y datum value by selecting the feature point and say Y datum, and it is 6. So I think by this time you might be clear about the DIMORDINATE, how it works. Now let's do a quick revision of what we did. Selecting dimension tool, we talked about linear dimension, diameter dimension, radius dimension, angular dimension, ordinate dimension. We'll do the quick dimensioning now later on. So we will discuss it. So, and the jogged dimensioning. So now you can see the linear dimensions and the angular dimensions. So you can see in this figure, you have this linear dimension, which is 1.35, 0.45, and the angular dimension is 72 degree. And then you have the radius dimension, the diameter dimension. Then you have the ordinate dimension, the arc length dimension mentioned over here. So you can see 7.0, 8.0, 9.0 is the ordinate dimension, and we have the arc length dimension for 0.90 that's shown in this figure. And later on you can see that there are various in the ribbon, you can see you have this different tools. So one is the break tool, and there is a adjust space tool. Now what the break tool is, let's say it's a very interesting thing that I would like to explain you. When two dimensions are crossing each other, normally when we dimension a very compact space in civil drafting, or when we're doing a building drawing or the documentation, two lines intersect. So we want to break one line, that is the dimension line, and so that it is visible there. So you can use a dimension break. And then you have this adjust space that we will discuss about when we're doing the continued dimensioning and the baseline dimensioning. I will explain it just now after this. Then you have this, we talked about the dimension drop down, and then tolerances are for when we are doing a machining kind of thing. We have geometric tolerances, we can give the geometric tolerances. Oblique dimension is when you want to incline the dimension at a particular angle. Text angle, left justify, right justify, override. So there are various tools in this dimension panel. So let's talk about the break dimension, and then I'll be talking about the continued dimension, how continued and baseline dimensions are very, very important in while doing a civil drafting or when you're doing a building design. So we'll give you the importance of continued dimension and baseline dimension. But before that, let's take the break dimension. So coming back to the AutoCAD screen. So now let's say if you have a space, let's say if I think we have done in one of the challenges, I will take that option also, take that project also. Now let's say if you have this kind of situation where you give a dimension line. Normally when you're doing a plan or an elevation, it is always recommended that the dimensions line are placed outside the space. But here, let's say if I have this dimension over here, now it's going a bit outside because of the settings in the dimension style, which we'll be studying in the next session. Then you have this dimension that is an extension dimension. Now it is preferred according to the codes also, the dimension should not cross each other for visibility purposes or for coordination purposes. Now what to do in this case, though, there is an option called break. So if you select this dimension break option, select dimension to add or remove break. So you have this select dimension to add. Let's say if you want to select this dimension and this one, now you can see a break is done. So here it shows that it is not overlapping over here. Now you can do it for multiple of dimensions. If you select the multiple options, let's say if you have a lot of other dimensions, you need to do a break. Let's say I'm doing it very quickly over here. I am putting a linear dimensions over here. Let's say I am putting a linear dimension here. So it's basically because of the precision, I think the dimensions are going on a bigger scale. Let me go into bigger scale. So I develop a rectangle here and I put some lines over here. Let me put some lines. So here's the object center, right? And let me put the line from here to here. Okay, so what I will be doing is I'll be doing a dimension, a linear dimension of this particular space. Let's say this is 4 units and this is in the X, it is 8 units. Now here what we need to omit it is basically we want to remove the crossing over of these two dimension lines. So this is a dimension line for this and this is a dimension line of this, so that a better visibility when you're printing it out, when you're seeing the layout, it should not cause any kind of coordination error. So you have this dimension break option and select the dimension in which you want to create the break, the dimension line in fact. Select it and select the line which is intersecting. So you have this break over here, and this dimension break is very, very useful when the dimensions are crossing. Similarly, if you have more dimensions, you want to do for multiple dimensions, so you have this option. Let's say I put it over here, and let's say I have another dimension. Now let's say I want to do it for both of them together. Let's say I create the dimension again. So let me drag it a bit so that it crosses the dimension line. Okay, so I have this case over here. So click on this. So it says DIMBreak is the tool. So you can see the command over here, DIMBreak. So select this here, and you can select the multiple options. Click. So now if there is let's say press enter. So here what we need to do is, let's say if I want to have a single option, let's say I click it over here and then I click it. Now what is happening is the break is over here. Now I select this and select this, right? So select object to break dimension. So if let's say the multiple option says that if there are multiple dimensions over here, and which is one dimension is intersecting with a lot of other dimensions, so in that case we can have the break. For example, this is another dimension. Give me a case like this, give you a case this. So now this particular dimension needs to have two breaks at this point and this point. So I go for dim break option, and then I say select a dimension. I selected this dimension and select object to break the dimension. So I click in over here, I click in over here. So now it is not showing, but if I have this option called multiple, I select a multiple option and select the dimension, and if I select this part, so you can see that so when we are talking about multiple breaking, so this is a typical example. So let's say you have got two dimensions, one is 8 unit and one is 4 units. Now here, let's say if there is a linear dimension which is intersecting the two linear dimensions 8, 4 and also this one. Now with this, I want that this dimension, wherever it intersects all these three dimensions, there is a break that happens. So that is a multiple break that I was trying to explain. This is the actual, the typical case of multiple break. Now, how do we do? Dim break is the option, and then we have the multiple option. Now you can select the dimensions or more than one dimensions where you want to put the break. For example, this dimension, and this dimension. Now, press enter and then you say select object to break dimensions. Here, there is only one object that is intersecting with all the three dimensions. So the moment you click on it, you can see that the multiple breaks are put in the extension line. Now, another into the dimension lines. Another thing that it's very interesting over here. It's not only the dimension which will break. For example, if you have a circle, or if you have something that if there's an object which is interfering the dimension line and you need a break over here. Now let's say, does the dim break command works or not? So you have this select the dimension which you want to create a break, and then select object to the break to break the dimension. So here you can select this object. So the moment you select the object, you can see the break is put over here. So it's a very interesting command, and then it says again further. So if you say select the dimension to break, and then you have an option called remove the break. So if you click remove, so you can see that all the breaks are removed from here. The objects can also be the interference to the dimension line where the breaks can be provided. So it is a very good practice. If you use the dimension break, it will be very, very useful for you to to provide better coordinated drawings on site. Now coming back to it, to give you a practical example, I'll just pull on a drawing over here. So here we have a dimension, we have a particular unit system because it's already in feet inches and alternate dimensioning. I would like to have a kind of practical exposure of the commands that we have learned till yet. Now, first of all, let's say if I'm erasing all this over here, dimensions, and there's a particular style that has been created that shows both the feet inches and millimeters. So we will be talking about in the next session, but I want to dimension this door. So for this, there is a particular style that is over here, but this is the entire dimension panel here. So here I take the linear dimension right now. Let's say I can use the linear dimension. I can select the first point and the second point. Here we go. So it shows a particular dimension. Now, if I want to do a dimension of the panels, right? So I can do the dimension of the panels like DIMLIN again. So linear dimension is a very commonly used kind of. So this is a panel that I have. Let's say inside of the panel, it's a 3 feet, and then again I can do inside as 3 feet. Now get a typical example. For example, I just sketch a wall over here. Let's say this is a 10 feet wall that I want to sketch with 9 inches thickness here, and I'm using feet inches in this because it is calibrated in feet inches. The drawing is in feet inches, and let's say I have got some multiple windows over here. Now just wanted to mention about the standard dimensioning techniques that we do. So let me put the windows over here, and then we will dimension this. So here you have this I'm giving a symbol of the window over here, and then we will be doing some dimensioning here.